former pro football player dying of heat stroke, the electrical explosion leaving thousands without power, and in New York City, the new warning after the blackout just days ago. Ginger Z times this all out. President Trump doubling down tonight, no longer saying he's upset with those who chanted "send her back." What he's saying now. And First Lady Michelle Obama tonight not directly referencing the headlines, but tweeting late today. Breaking news at this hour, the U.S. military monitoring a U.S. ship traveling through the Strait of Hormuz after word of 2 more ships seized by Iran. Martha Raddatz is live tonight. Also developing at this hour, the American woman and her boyfriend on a road trip discovered dead. Authorities before the cameras just moments ago and what they have now revealed. Newly released video tonight of 737 crashing into the ocean. The computer warning the 2 pilots that they were too low. The American rapper under arrest overseas, and now President Trump is involved tonight. First Lady Melania Trump, too. The rapper A$AP Rocky claiming self-defense and what the video shows. The urgent search tonight for a missing wife, 69 years old, her husband breaking down, insisting that police are looking at him as a suspect. And if the heat is getting to you, try the Yankees manager who lost it. His choice words and the punishment tonight.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Friday night. So many of you dealing with this brutal heat, and tonight it has turned deadly now. Authorities declaring heat emergencies in communities across this country, 34 states, more than 200 million Americans under alerts right now. And look at the numbers for tomorrow. The heat index, the feel-like reading, 111 in D.C., 110 in Philadelphia, 108 in New York City. The Midwest already seeing numbers that high. Tonight, the former pro football player who died of heat stroke and the power station exploding, leaving thousands without power, and several subway lines shut down just moments ago here in New York City. ABC's Gio Benitez leading us off.
Tonight, that life-threatening heat has first responders on high alert.
Who is most at risk?
Anyone's at risk.
We spent the day with paramedics in the Philadelphia suburbs. They tell us there's a reason why parents need to watch their kids.
When you're talking about children, you're talking about their body temperature rising, 3 to 5 times faster than adults?
Correct. Way much faster than you and I, because they're smaller. They can't regulate their temperature like you or I can.
Not far away, some elderly and disabled residents were forced to evacuate when their apartments lost power.
Describe to me what it's like inside your apartment right now.
About 95 degrees and getting hotter.
We have medic units on scene monitoring the patients who need it.
In Chicago,
that heat will become so intense today, it could be life-threatening.
A heat index of at least 105 degrees, pushing the limits of infrastructure. Our Stephanie Ramos is there.
These crews are inspecting roads threatened by the intense heat. The city says the extremely high temperatures could cause pavement blowouts and roads to buckle.
In Arkansas, former New York Giants offensive lineman Mitch Petrus dying of heat stroke after working outside all day. He was just 32. In New York City, race organizers canceling the New York City Triathlon this weekend, the city under a heat emergency. Power officials confident the grid will hold after last weekend's blackout.
We're ready for what the heat will bring, and as I said, we expect demands this weekend to rival all-time weekend peaks.
New York's mayor asking residents to turn their thermostats up to 78 degrees to help save power. And David, here in Philly, we're looking at a top heat index today of 104. That number could grow to 113 over the weekend. And again, we've just learned that in New York City, several subway lines have been shut down. We don't know if that's heat related, but David, of course, there are major concerns over infrastructure.
All right, Gio Benitez leading us off live in Philadelphia tonight. Gio, thank you. And you heard Gio mention the real concern here in New York after that blackout days ago, warning of the strain on the power grid. Well, in Madison, Wisconsin tonight, look at this. A state of emergency after an explosion at the city's main power center there. It felt like 109 in Madison today, and that explosion triggering a fire, the flames shooting 150 feet into the air, knocking out power to thousands. And here's ABC's Steve Osunsami now.
The timing of this explosion at a power station in Madison, Wisconsin was so terrible, the state's governor had to declare a state of emergency as thousands were having to get through the miserable heat without power.
There was an explosion and a large fire now.
There's an excessive heat warning in the area. Today it felt like 109 degrees.
What do you think those flames are, 50, 60 feet?
Government employees at the state capitol were told to leave their hot and humid offices and head home.
We're checking in with any place that we think has young people, have seniors, have folks that are likely to be without air conditioning in this heat.
Adding insult to injury, a second substation caught fire. Authorities believe both were caused by mechanical issues. The power is back on tonight, but power companies from Madison, Wisconsin, all the way up the East Coast are watching out for these kind of breakdowns in this heat. David?
All right, Steve Osunsami and Gio Benitez, our thanks to both of you. Let's get right back to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z with us again tonight, live along the Palisades Parkway, tracking it all for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, David. Some of the numbers as far as heat indices go, blowing our minds. Sheldon, Iowa comes away with one of the highest I've seen all day, 121. And look at those excessive heat warnings and advisories that stretch from Oklahoma to Vermont and even Maine. The core of that heat, 115 Iowa City, 117 over Omaha. That's right now, but that core, watch as it slides east because it's going to make its way and settle into the northeast on Saturday. That's the hottest day. Philadelphia to Norfolk feels like 110, 111 Washington, D.C., and Hartford, Connecticut. Now, when you've got this much heat and humidity, it's inevitable you've got to have severe storms. There's a severe thunderstorm watch from Cleveland to Binghamton, New York, a tornado watch in parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota, David.
We're thinking about the millions in the path of this heat this weekend, Ginger. Our thanks to you again tonight. The president late today no longer saying he is unhappy with those crowds chanting, "Send her back," tonight calling them incredible patriots. And earlier this week, this outraged the reaction. The president, when asked about it, said, "I am joining the fight." Tonight, what he's saying now, and former First Lady Michelle Obama, who did not mention the news directly, though she did weigh in today with a tweet. Here's ABC's Kara Phillips tonight.
Tonight, President Trump defending his North Carolina supporters who chanted this about Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who came to the U.S. as a child refugee from Somalia. The chant was inspired by the president's racist tweet suggesting 4 Democratic congresswomen go back to the countries they came from, even though all are American citizens and 3 of them were born here. Under pressure from his own party, the president said he felt a bit badly about the chant and was not happy. Today, a different tune.
You know what I'm unhappy with? I'm unhappy with the fact that a congresswoman can hate our country. Those people in North Carolina, that stadium was packed. It was a record crowd, and I could have filled it 10 times, as you know. Those are incredible people. Those are incredible patriots.
Later, I asked him,
The chant, "Send her home." Is it racist to you?
Say it.
The chant, "Send her home." Is that?
You know what's racist to me? When somebody goes out and says the horrible things about our country, the people of our country, I think to me that's a disgrace, and we should never forget it. We're dealing with people that hate our country.
Tonight, Michelle Obama speaking out. The former First Lady doesn't mention the president by name, but her aim is clear, tweeting, "What truly makes our country great is its diversity. Whether we are born here or seek refuge here, there's a place for us all. We must remember, it's not my America or your America, it's our America."
So let's get right to Kara Phillips live at the White House tonight. And Kara, world leaders are watching this from afar, and they're now weighing in on the chants and how the president is handling this.
Indeed, strong words, too. Referencing, David, the president's racist tweet, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying the comments made were hurtful, wrong, and completely unacceptable. And German Prime Minister Angela Merkel also weighing in, declaring that she stands in, quote, solidarity with the 4 congresswomen. David?
Kira, thank you. We are also monitoring rising tensions with Iran tonight. The U.S. military is monitoring an American container ship traveling through the Strait of Hormuz after word that Iran has now seized 2 more ships there. Let's get right to Martha Radich. She's live in our Washington bureau tonight. And Martha, what do we know about the seized ships?
Well, the Iranians seized a British flag tanker with 23 crew members in the Strait of Hormuz, claiming it had violated maritime rules. A Liberian flag tanker was also briefly seized. The British Foreign Secretary saying he is extremely concerned by the seizure, calling it unacceptable. President Trump saying today that this shows that Iran is nothing but trouble. And David, this is a serious escalation.
And Martha, in the meantime, Iran is denying what was reported last night here. The U.S. saying that it had destroyed an Iranian drone, and Iran now showing video that they claim proves it.
Right, David. Iranian state TV aired video they claim came from the drone that the U.S. says it destroyed. The video has a timestamp, which would be after the hour that the U.S. said the drone went down. But there is no proof that the timestamp is accurate. And the White House today said there is very clear evidence the Iranian drone was destroyed by the U.S. military, David.
All right, an escalation indeed. Martha Raddatz, thank you. Tonight, an American man accused of being an ISIS fighter is in federal custody, facing terror charges now. Prosecutors say 42-year-old Ruslan Asainov, a naturalized citizen born in Kazakhstan, left Brooklyn for Syria in 2013, where he joined ISIS, they say becoming a sniper and then a trainer of new recruits. He was arrested after allegedly enticing a person to join ISIS. That person turned out to be an NYPD informant. Now to a news conference held just a short time ago. An American woman and her boyfriend discovered dead on the side of the road in Canada. China Dees from North Carolina and her boyfriend Lucas Fowler were found on the side of a remote Canadian highway, in fact. They believe the couple was murdered. Here's Matt Gutman.
Tonight, Canadian police know that this young couple's road trip ended violently on a lonely stretch of the Alaskan highway. What they don't know is who murdered 24-year-old American China Dees and her boyfriend, Lucas Fowler.
It's not yet clear whether Lucas and China were targeted or if this was a crime of opportunity.
Without revealing how they were killed, police recovered the couple and that blue van on the side of the road in picturesque British Columbia sometime between Sunday and Monday night.
We're trying to comb through the evidence that is at the scene at this point.
Family members tell us they believe their van broke down. China Dees, who was from North Carolina, met Fowler in Croatia. He is the son of an Australian police chief inspector. The couple was taking a road trip heading to national parks and Alaska. Tonight, Dees' mother telling ABC News, this southern girl meets this wonderful Australian man. They were just so in love and both loved traveling.
The couple was found, David, near a popular tourist site, and right now police are working with a 28-hour window in which they think this crime occurred. So they're asking motorists with any dash cam video to come forward to help narrow down that timeline. David.
Matt Gutman reporting in tonight. Thank you, Matt. There is new cockpit video this evening showing the final moments of a Boeing 737 crashing into the ocean. The pilots were warned by computers that they were too low before slamming into the water. We reported on this when the U.S. Navy team nearby rushed in to help save those passengers. ABC's David Curley tonight with this new video emerging from that terrifying crash near Guam.
In the September crash, short of a runway, we saw U.S. sailors racing to the 737 jetliner to pull passengers out of the aircraft.
14 over there.
Tonight, a highly unusual recording inside the cockpit.
Approaching minimums.
As the jet was trying to land in bad weather near Guam,
Minimums.
that is the computer warning the two pilots that they're too low.
Sink rate. Sink rate.
And their flight path means they will not make the runway. Investigators say the pilots ignored the warnings and had done so in the past. But on this day, the weather meant they couldn't see the runway. The last warning, they're 100 feet above the water.
100.
The jetliner bounced on the water of the lagoon several times before settling and filling with water. Originally, it was thought that everyone survived the crash. 35 were rescued, but 3 days later, divers found the body of a passenger inside the fuselage. Investigators had harsh words for both pilots in this incident. David
Curley, who covers aviation for us, thank you. There are mounting calls tonight for the release of an American rapper being held in a Swedish jail. From some famous names, even the president and the first lady are now involved in this. The rapper A$AP Rocky is under investigation for alleged assault. He says it was self-defense. Tonight what the video shows, and here's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, mounting anger after Swedish prosecutors announce rapper A$AP Rocky must remain behind bars while their investigation into this confrontation continues. TMZ obtaining the video showing the 30-year-old performer, whose real name is Rakim Meyers, and members of his entourage fighting in the streets of Stockholm on June 30th. But the rapper posting this video allegedly of the moments just before.
We don't want no problems with these boys. They keep following us.
Two men can be seen arguing with his bodyguard, throwing headphones at the group and following them as they try to walk away.
They came into a situation where he acted in self-defense.
The Grammy-nominated artist and two backup performers now beginning their third week in a Swedish jail. A$AP deemed a flight risk. Their detention sparking outrage. And today, President Trump saying many, including the First Lady, have asked him to intervene.
I have been called by so many people asking me to help ASAP Rocky.
David, the man seen fighting with the rapper while under investigation, remains free. After speaking with Kanye West, President Trump says he plans to call the Swedish Prime Minister. David?
Ariel, thank you. Turn next tonight to the desperate search for that missing wife in the Mojave Desert, her husband breaking down, pleading for her return. Here's Will Carr.
Tonight, authorities are scouring one of the hottest places on Earth with canines after 69-year-old Barbara Thomas vanished a week ago. According to her husband, Thomas disappeared in the Mojave Desert wearing only a black bikini and a red hat with a beer in hand. He says he stopped to take a picture, and when he looked for his wife, she was gone.
And she rounded the corner, and I lost sight of her.
Bob Thomas believes someone kidnapped her.
Whoever has her, please release her. No questions asked.
He also tells Inside Edition that police consider him a suspect and tell him he was deceptive on a polygraph test, but swears he had nothing to do with his wife's disappearance. At this point, authorities won't tell us if they have any suspects in the case. They tell us they're treating this as a missing persons investigation. David.
Will Carr tonight. The index in that daring climb down from a burning building in Philadelphia. A 35-year-old son scaling down 15 floors. It turns out he'd actually climbed up 15 floors first to get to his mother because he couldn't get in at the ground level. Both were later reunited on the ground. And feeling the heat, the Yankees manager losing his cool with the ump. This went on and on. Aaron Boone suspended for tonight's game. He was also fined. In Apollo 11 mission control. 50 years ago tonight, they were already on their way to the moon.
I can see her rising now.
And tomorrow marks the day Neil Armstrong, 10:56 p.m., opened that hatch.
I'm going to step off the limb now.
And stepped foot on the moon.
That's one small step for man.
19 minutes later, Buzz Aldrin, too. And back in Houston, Apollo 11 mission control. Many wiping away tears. Do you feel it when you're in this room?
I do. You can feel it.
This week, they allowed us to broadcast from that room, a first. Sandra Tetley was charged with restoring Apollo 11 mission control.
You know, see the lights, see what's on the screens, and just realize that something big happened here.
They took out the consoles and sent them to Hutchinson, Kansas, to be restored at the Space Museum Cosmosphere. Underneath the consoles, they found cigarettes from that time. They used photographs to place items right where they were 50 years ago. The RC Cola, the Winstons, the Apollo 11 flight plan. And when you search the archives, you see it. The miniature Apollo 11 spacecraft, then and now, right where it once sat. And remember this week, they even showed us the heartbeat. They were monitoring the astronauts. They had Neil Armstrong's vital signs right in front of them the entire time.
Absolutely.
And all of those images of the flight director, Gene Kranz.
Capcom or stay for T1.
50 years later, history still being made. Now, two women in the top roles, the chief flight director and the deputy chief flight director, Emily Nelson, already looking ahead to the moon again and then Mars.
Getting to put boots back on another surface away from Earth again, that'll be incredible.
They hope to launch that mission in 2024 from Florida, where there is another woman, Regina Spellman, helping to lead the way.
They started with a blank piece of paper, and how they were able to do that is awe-inspiring, what people can really do when they put their mind to it.
And until the next mission, preserving that other mission 50 years ago, the woman in the team who saw what was left here and thought we should save it. Most people would say, what a mess, but you thought, I've got history.
Treasure. No, it was treasure, right? It was history, absolutely.
And so we choose the people of NASA, then and now. I'm David Muir. I'll see you Monday. Good night.